Hi everyone, it's Desiree, and I am here with the July 2018 Hero Arts Monthly Card Kit. Yes, July, I know. But you can see the beautiful stamps and the dies. They have a couple reactive inks, and they have some postcards. So that's pretty much what came in the kit. There are others that did reveals, so I encourage you to check them out. I did like the statements. The sentiments, and also the stamps that went with it. So kind of some funny puns are going to go on here. I want you to stay tuned if you can till the end. If you make it through, there will be an announcement at the end of this video. Oh boy. But let's get started. So I wanted to play with one of the postcards. I pulled out my Prismacolor pencils, and I really liked the airplane with the banner coming off the back. I remember these. When I was down in Wildwood with my family, we would see them all the time. So brought back some cute memories. So I stamped that using my Gina K amalgam ink. And it didn't ink solid, which is fine. So I just grabbed my Faber-Castell Pitt pen and just filled in the area that didn't stamp too well. So I'm going to first clean off my mat, obviously, but we're going to set that aside. I also stamped the clouds, and these are masks, so I'm going to cut them out and I'm going to set them aside as well. One of the things that I really loved about this stamp set, believe it or not, was the little cloud and those little balloons, the star, the balloon, and the heart shape. I thought they were the most adorable things. So we've got some clouds going on here. We're going to have these balloons going all over the place. I didn't want to bore you with all the stamping. Plus, just to save time, I'm not going to show all of the coloring and all of the stamping because this card took a while. But I have to admit, I really enjoyed it. And you know what? I have to admit, it's really tough to choose my favorite card out of these. So I hope you do enjoy them. So you can see I'm filling in. I'm using the masks so that the balloons are coming up behind the clouds. I always wanted the clouds in the front. So we do mask them. So I'm going to remove the masks. And then we're going to start coloring. So as I said, I did pull out my Prismacolors. I have many. I have a 36 set. I have the Scholar set. I also have the 150 set. So I seem to be moving with the 36 a lot. It's close. So I did pull out the white and the silver, and that's what the clouds are going to be done in. Of course, the heart balloons are going to be done in the two shades of pink and purple I have there. The regular balloon is going to be done in a blue shade and a purple and blue shade, and an orange, and then of course the star is going to be in yellow with a deeper shade of that. So again, I'm not going to show, all of the coloring, but I did want to make sure that you saw some of it. Remember, with colored pencils, you don't want to go heavy right off the bat. If you go heavy off the bat, you're going to already fill in the tooth of the paper, and you're not going to be able to blend or add more color to your image when it comes to colored pencils. Now remember, Prismacolors are wax-based and your polychromos are oil. There's really not a difference. It's just the way the pigment will move and how it will react. That's the difference. So again, you can see that I put down my light color first, and then I come in with my darker shade in the area where I want the darker shade, and then I go back over with my lighter shade. And usually when I'm coming back in all over the image again with my lighter shade, that's usually my last round with the Prismacolors. Now these I did choose to color on the solid side. Usually I do like to see some of the white coming through my pieces when I color in color pencils. And I did add a tint of blue to the clouds as well, just to help them stand out a little bit. I started putting down my sentiment and I real quick ripped it up. It's okay. It's going right back to where it was. I just thought it was too white. Going against this craft postcard, I did want to dull it down with my vintage photo ink. So I'm just going to go around the image, being careful not to bend it or rip it, because, yeah, I would have done that in a heartbeat. I'm going to add some more glue on the back, and we're going to set that right in place. So at least now we won't see those glue marks. I am going to put an acrylic block on top of it just to make sure that it does adhere. You know, because of the other glue and all of that, I just wanted to make sure that it was going to be flat. Because again, this could go through the mail, so you do want to make sure that it's very well secured. For all the balloons, I'm going to use my Spectrum Noir glitter pen, and I'm going to go over each and every one of them. I used my vintage photo ink to go around the postcard itself. And something that you're not seeing on the on video is I actually did take a white gel pen and give a highlight to each of the balloons as well. And that's our first one. So for our second card, I wanted to give the Reactive Inks a try. They literally are titled Red Reactive and Blue Reactive. So I don't know if that means they're like the Fiestas that they had in their other kit where they blended. I don't know. So we're going to do the sentiment first. I've pulled out my liquid platinum embossing powder by Ranger, and I'm going to heat set that, and it's going to say, "Come one, come all." For some reason, I just liked that sentiment. So once we have the sentiment done, now I'm going to play around with these inks. So I want to do some ink smushing. So I'm going to set down some of the red, and I'm going to set down some of the blue, and I'm just going to use a spray bottle to hit them with water to get them good and moving there, and then I'm just going to dip my paper into this ink. Again, when we ink smush, we go straight up and down, and then we just let each layer dry. So once I have this first layer on, I let it dry, did that multiple times until I got the effect that I was looking for. And that's the final effect. So I think they worked really well. I don't think the red is red. I think it's a little pink. But they did react very well. I'm going to treat these with my anti-static tool, and I'm going to stamp on the ticket 3 times on each of the panels. What I want you to notice with each of the cards, I'm kind of going off what the sentiment says. So the postcard, we had the airplane. So get it? Mail, plane, airmail. Okay. So that's what that one's doing. So this one, remember, says, "Come one, come all." So after I've heat set them and bored you with that little tiny tidbit story there, I'm going to use the die and cut each of these out. So once they're done, I'm going to have 6 tickets in front of me. Now, again, I did use my liquid platinum again to heat emboss them. So again, I chose liquid platinum because I wanted it to be subtle. I really wanted the color to stand out on each of the tickets. So instead of using like a white or black, I thought the black would be too harsh. So that's why I did go with the liquid platinum. Plus, it was also on the black strip for the sentiment. So here I'm just taking forever and a day to arrange the tickets. I probably should have done more, which would have made me probably happier. Or it's throwing me off because it's an even number. Again, I usually lay things down in an odd number, and usually in 3s. So, I don't know, it's just something that I do. So this is something that could be throwing me off, even though it's 6. It's, 3 times 2. But yeah, for some reason, this was just making me crazy. So I did edit a lot of that out, believe it or not. I'm going to set the sentiment down. The two tickets on the bottom are flat onto the panel. And of course, this panel, I used my MFT Wonky Stitch Rectangle die. And now this is going to go on our card base. I'm going to use my Altenew tape runner to adhere this to my 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 top folding card base. Just know that the majority of the cards that I do make are standard A2 size, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and they're usually top folding. I grabbed a couple of my Nuvo drops. That was Midnight Blue. And then I'm going to use Bubblegum Blush. And I'm just going to accent the top of the blue drops that I just put by adding 3 very small pink ones. Because I have to be crazy. So come one, come all. So tickets. It's like to an event. See? Yeah. Anyway. So I just added those accents. Again, I thought the blue and the pink with the enamel dots accented the designs on the tickets. So for card number 3, we're still going to play around with these reactive inks. Kind of having fun with them. Usually I don't with the ink cubes. So I'm going to put a little bit of the blue, I'm going to put a little bit of the red, and the same thing, I'm going to use my mister just to wet them up. Because what I want to do here, you can see I already have my panel prepped. I used my MFT Wonky Stitch Rectangle to already have my panel cut out. And I'm just going to grab, I call it my splatter brush. This is really the brush that I grab whenever I want to do splatters. I think it's because it's the perfect brush. It makes the perfect splatters for me. They're not too big, they're not too small, they're just right. Yeah. So I'm adding the red, I'm adding the blue, and then I'm going to mix them together, and when we mix red and blue, we get purple. So I have those, and I set that aside so that that would dry naturally. I used a hand punch that I have, and I believe these are 5/8 circles, and I punched 3 of them, and I used my craft pick to put a hole right down the center of them. We're going to set those aside. So we're going to stamp the images, and the first image that I'm going to, well, the only image that I'm going to stamp, of course, is the Ferris wheel, and then, of course, the sentiment. So I wanted to make sure I get a good impression. I wanted to use my Tim Holtz stamp positioner. Yes, it is true, they will no longer be selling those, so if you want one, by all means, you can try to find it. I know Scrapping for Less does have one, if you're looking for them. So I have my sentiment stamped. I cut a piece of black cardstock out of pulled that from my scraps, cut that down to 1 inch, so that I could put that around my sentiment. And that's going to go towards the bottom. The Ferris wheel, I did cut color off camera. I did use my Prismacolors for that as well. I'm setting this where it's going to go on my card, and I'm going to put my craft pick right through that and the card base, the card design base. I'm looking for those 3 circles, and I'm going to put a brad through that hole that I just made. And then on the other side of the Ferris wheel, I'm going to put the 3 discs that I had off to the side as well. Once that's set, I'm going to be able to put this through the card design base. And I want to make sure that it's not too tight. You know, we don't need to, like I usually do, put the firm grip on. I'm just making sure that pieces are in place, and then I'm going to set the sentiment down, again, towards the bottom, just below the Ferris wheel. Now it does look like it's kind of floating in the air. That's okay. There's a reason. I'm going to trim off the edges from the sentiment that's hanging off, so now it's got a nice border on the top and the bottom. I'm actually going to use a piece of fun foam to adhere this to my 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 top folding card base, because I didn't want the brad to go to dent up the inside of the card, so just to protect it. So the sentiment says, you make the world go round. So I made my Ferris wheel go round. I really did have fun with this kit. Get it? Okay. So I had to save a lot of time, so I already did my background. So I used Wild Honey Barn Door, I used Faded Jeans, and Seedless Preserves. So I've made a very abstract background. Again, that just would have taken a lot of time, and this video is already pretty long. So just to save time, I did do that before I started filming this. So I'm taking a scrap piece of black cardstock, and I'm using the sentiment, enjoy the ride. I'm going to use my Versamark ink, and then I'm going to heat emboss that using my white embossing powder. And that's by Recollections, called Snow. So I'm going to take this panel before I cut it down. Now know that all of that blending was done on Bristol paper, Bristol Smooth. So I've set they have that whole scene stamp, the silhouette of it. And I'm going to use my VersaFine black ink. I think this does a great job with giving a solid color. And of course I have something in the way so that I'm not getting stamped, and finally I do. I added a firework, and I added one of the hot air balloons, and then I added a second firework just above that. So the enjoy the ride is going to cover up underneath, because you can see, you know, where I placed the die. I did use my MFT Wonky Stitch rectangle, but you can see that the die, you know, I didn't place it perfectly, so you've got this edge off of that. That's what this sentiment's going to do. It's going to continue that silhouette image across the card base. Now, I love this little trimmer, but when I'm trying to trim something this small, it's impossible. So use a piece of Post-it. Not sure if anybody else knows that trick. I'm sure somebody else has done that trick. So if you have, you subliminally said it to me. I love the Fiskars because of the metal guide, the wire guide that it has. But when you're trying to do something very tiny, it don't work, because I can't get my fingers there to hold it and make sure it's flat. That just helped me do that. So, little tip. I love it. Worked for me. Give it a try. So now I'm going to take my sentiment, because it's perfectly cut on each side of the sentiment, and I'm going to adhere it right below my silhouette. So you've got this bright white coming at you, and then you have the sunset. Now, I know some people may say that's not the right colors. I kind of like the colors. I thought it looked really sharp when it came out. Again, something different. So there's really not a pun on that, but you know, the hot air balloon, the roller coaster, enjoy the ride. It's, I don't know. I really went off the sentiments. I really, really did. For some reason, that's how my images got created, was off of the sentiments. I don't know. So I'm going to take my white gel pen, sorry, rambling, and I'm just going to put dots up in the darker area. I'm doing this very quickly so that they're very light, very small. And then if I want larger one, I'm literally drawing the circles so that I can fill that in. And that's that card. See, I like this one too. I'm not sure. So far, I'm liking them all. So for card number 5, I'm going to play with some alcohol inks. This is literally the second time I have played with alcohol inks. So I've got my blending solution, I've got my straw, I've got 3 colors, I've got patina, mermaid, and I forget what the green's called. I think it's limeade. It's called limeade. So I'm using the alcohol ink paper. And I also have some of the blending solution in a spray bottle. So I'm going to spray my paper, and I'm just going to start dropping. We're going to do 3 panels here real quick. So I figured I would show you this instead of the blending. You've seen me blend before if you've watched my videos before. So here I'm literally just dropping colors. Just dropping them, seeing what they can do. You'll see my straw once in a while. If you see this liquid moving on its own and I'm not doing anything, that's because I'm using the straw. I'm trying not to get my head in the way of the camera. So you can see this is kind of getting like a, almost like a coral reef effect. It looks very thick, very plant-like. So for this one, instead of spraying it, I'm just going to drop some of the blending solution on. So this will have more of the blending solution. You can actually see how the alcohol ink is moving. I'm coming in there with my straw to keep it moving. I've just dropped in some more patina and see how that works. I do love picking them up and letting them drip because I do like the drips. I like that effect. Here's some of the limeade that's coming in, and you can see that wherever you drop the color, it pushes the other alcohol away. That's something that's really neat with the alcohol inks. You can just get a lot. No two will be alike. No two. So this one, because I had so much blending solution and kept on filling it up, that covered the card more and it looks more oceanic, like water. So I went back to the spray for the third one. Now we're going to start with the patina. And now we're coming in with the mermaid. And we're just dropping, letting some white spots be there. Now I'm just going to turn, tap it a little bit. Of course, I've got to drop the card because that's what I do. Now, I love this. I thought it looked really great. But we're going to add some more blending solution, and now we're going to come in with the limeade. And we're going to have that, because I did like the green. I really liked that bright green against these two aqua blues. I really like the difference in it. This time, instead of spraying the solution, I just dumped it right on in, and I'm adding more of the mermaid so that I can get more of the blotches. Again, more solution, because whenever you drop the solution or alcohol, it will move again. It will actually react. It will not react with water, but it will react upon itself. So think of it that way. So these are the three panels that we made. They're very different looking, very much so. I grabbed some of my deco foil. I know you've seen this in other videos. I saw Vicky do this, where you just lay this up, rub it, and whatever, some areas on alcohol are sticky because of the a lot of blending solution. That's okay. I just put this on top. She had, showed that to put it on top, and it just takes on those gold flecks. So I thought that was really cool. This is the panel that I chose. I'm going to run that through my die machine, but I'm also taking a scrap piece of cardstock, and I'm using removable adhesive because I want to pick up this entire panel in one thing from this die. It's okay if they shift a little bit, but I don't want to lose how those pieces are placed and in the order that they are. I took another piece of scrap cardstock, and again I'm using my removable tape. I'm going to put this down on my card panel. Yeah, this card's going to be very bright. Because I'm going to use that as my guide. So I'm going to grab those pieces. I'm going to pull away that frame. Yes, that will be saved. Yes. And I'm going to glue some of these sections down. And I'm going to go every other one. So the circle, of course, is going to go in the center. But then when it comes to the rays coming from that circle, every other one is going to be glued down using my liquid adhesive. So this part was easy. Sometimes, I come up with these ideas and I'm like, okay. So once they're in, I still want to keep those pieces that you see on that scratch piece, but I do want to pull off this white panel. I don't need this anymore on my card. I only want to see, I guess this would be the negative. Now, prior to the video, I took some really thick foam, fun foam, and I also ran that through my die cutting machine as well. So those pieces that are left on my left hand side, they are going to go on top of the foam, and then they're going to go in the spots that are open. So now every other one is going to be propped up on foam. So now I'm just going to finish, now that I have them all attached, now I'm just going to finish going around the card and adhering all of those rays. So you can see we've got, you know, a flat, dimensional, so it's going that way. So it goes up and down around the card. Hence the reason for the sentiment. I'm here for you through ups and downs. Get it? I'm telling you guys, I really did. My cards were all based off of the sentiments. I thought the sentiments were great, and you could really have some fun with the sentiments. So I thought it was funny. Either that or I was really tired. Not quite sure. So that was card number 5. Now let's use this panel here. I mean, my goodness, we can't throw that away. So I grabbed one of my card bases, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and that's going to sit on top. And all I wanted to do, I'm going to emboss the word hello. No puns, no funny sentiments, just the word hello. So I've prepped the area with my anti-static tool. I've got my Versamark ink. I'm going to stamp that down right in the center because I've set my panel in place. And I decided to use my liquid platinum embossing powder. Which it really does look okay. But it is extremely faint. I mean, you can barely see it on there. So I grabbed the white circle from when I die cut it before. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to stamp it down with my Versamark. I'm going to use my liquid platinum. I'm going to heat set that so that it's all melted, and we can just cover up that hello. Yes, because that's what we're going to do. I think the white does look better. So we're now going to adhere our panel down, and I am going to use my liquid glue for this just to make sure that it does adhere. Once I know that's in place, we're going to let that dry, and then with that oval, the white oval that I re-stamped and did all that fun stuff, I'm grabbing my oxide finger daubers, and there's always color left on those. So I grabbed the one for peacock feathers because I felt that one matched the best, and I just went around the edge. Plus on the edge of this oval, there was a smudge from something. I don't know from what. So great way for me to hide it. I'm going to prop the circle up using some double-sided foam tape, and we're going to set that right in the center. And that is an extra card that we did. So here are the close-ups. There's those white little dots that I said I did. Here are the close-ups of the cards that we did today. I hope you did enjoy this. Now remember, this is the Hero Arts monthly card kit for July 2018. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you hit that button down below. You don't want to miss all of the wonderful videos that are up and coming. If you have any questions or comments, please leave those down below and I will get back to you as soon as I can. All the products that I used outside of this kit will also be listed down below for you to click on if you just want to check them out or shop around. Okay, so now for my announcement. It's nothing bad, although you guys may think so. So if you've noticed for this, these are 5 cards from a monthly card kit. I did not say part 1 or part 2. What's going to happen going forward, I am definitely continuing to make videos. That's never going to stop. But when it comes to the card kits, and that's mainly Simon Says and the Hero Arts, I always did a 10 card one kit. I'm going to change those to a 5 card one kit. And this is why. I think that the cards will be better. I think they will come out in a more timely manner for you guys to be inspired when you get your kit. But also, the main reason is, since I can do a 5 card one kit, I'm having some other opportunities that are coming my way, and I look at it when I have opportunities, you have opportunities, because then I am able to show you products in more detail. I can answer questions about it. I can help you know about it, learn about it, and so forth. Doing the 10 cards one kit, they do take a lot of time, and I can't do individual videos where I get to show you all the techniques and all the details on how to do that. So I think I'm kind of taking things away from you if I'm doing those 10 cards one kit. Again, I'm still going to do them. It's just going to be a 5 card one kit deal. So I hope you're not upset. I hope you'll still stay around to see all of the neat things that are definitely going to be coming. I hope everyone had a wonderful weekend. But most of all, remember what's most important to me. Always be creative.